couple of things, but you're going to the Tommy Mello thing. Did you decide on that or no?
We just decided last night that we're not gonna do it.
Okay.
Only because I have a lot on my plate already that
Yeah.
from the last one that I got, and I don't want
Okay.
to, too much
Yeah.
information, and I'm not implementing anything.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So before we start, I got Walter
Mhm.
here, but before we start, I want to let the audience know, guys, help me out. Going on the off of analytics off the last interview that I've done, there were 64% people that watched the video but didn't subscribe. So all I'm asking is, after you watch this video, if you feel like you're getting some value, help me out and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel so that if by a miracle I can grow it to a decent size, I want to start doing some shop tours and doing these interviews, looking at everybody's operation, sitting down with them, and kind of spending more time, especially with some of the bigger companies out there. So help me out. Let's do this together. But right now, I've got Walter. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
So, and you're in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, I'm in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, which is just a little bit outside, like 10 minutes out of Tulsa, which is like the second biggest
Okay.
area in Oklahoma.
And are you in the second? Like, which is the
Uh,
bigger one?
Oklahoma City
Okay,
is the biggest area.
gotcha. So do you feel like you have a big customer base, market where you're at?
Yeah. There's a big market. The only thing is that before I was marketing to the wrong people.
Okay,
so
all
so
right.
that's one of the things that I learned whenever I went out to your area. I think it was last year, right? In
Yeah. So it's been a
almost a
year.
year now. Yeah.
So, so speaking of that, I mean, I don't want to cut you off too, but while we're on this topic, what kind of, so you're at the stage where you're at 350K,
Yeah.
and so you're at that stage where kind of growth is just right around the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that's a fun stage for me when I'm talking to people, when I see people, and kind of uh, a lot of the people that I talk to are in that stage or a little bit bigger, and that's when I remember it being really fun time, because it's
Mhm.
kind of like one of the stages where you got to do a lot more strategizing. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious, what made you at that stage come out to my shop last year, a year, 12, almost 12 months ago,
Yeah.
to do that? What made you do that?
So the reason why I saw that you had a lot of systems in place and you had uh like your whole mowing basically it was just like it was just turning on itself and it was just ready set go. You didn't really have to think about things, and that's what I didn't have in the business. So I that's why I reached out to you, and you helped me out so much. You accommodated me, helped me out going out there, and you taught me so much. And you actually I still have the picture of the one we took where it was the company party, and I have it in my office and everything. And
Right on.
I'm there with you guys, and I felt like
Yeah.
I really connected with the group there. I got to talk to a lot of people there. They let me know what they did in the company and just like how they enjoyed working there. So I knew I had to make a switch because I was working doing the lawns last or 2022 um, to this year where I got to go out. I would say maybe I would say 10 to 15 times I was inside of the field, like mowing or like doing some landscape stuff. Um, it wasn't like 2022 because I knew I had to get out of there from what you
Hmm.
taught me, that I had to create systems. There was just so many things from looking at my numbers, started looking at my numbers, started looking at the route density and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say that I turned it over, it got better overnight. It was literally day by day. I had to set a list of things that were like super important to fix, and then I had to set something else like, just go off of that list and start fixing things. So um, what we created was the pricing. You helped me out with all the pricing stuff, so I got to price all my stuff out. We created Excel files and with how much we need to do, and start watching those numbers for every service, right? So that really helped me out, know exactly what I need to be at in order to make a profit. Um, and I would say just it helped. But all these other years, I wasn't planning ahead. I was just kind of like, all of a sudden the season be here. I'm like, okay, I got to start passing out either flyers or start sending out a message or something like that. I wasn't doing anything like that. So, you showed me Service Autopilot, um, and whenever I try to transition into it, I got the program, and it was just since I was still a little bit in the field, and I didn't get to
Set it up.
set it all up. Exactly. So I had to run with Yardbook uh, throughout the whole year because then I just got so busy taking in phone calls and this and that. So I didn't get to implement Service Autopilot and I dropped it, but now I got Copilot and we are transitioning. We got all of our customers on there now. And I saw you showed me how you're sending out like mass emails of trying to upsell. So I started doing that through MailChimp, and I got a lot of upsells from that. I started doing text messaging through MailChimp. Well, through Yardbook, initially it was just text stuff, but it wasn't any images. So then MailChimp came out with you can add an image on there. So I started sending the email out, and then like a couple days later, I started sending out uh, the text with an image of the service that we do. So then I noticed that we got a huge like upsell from the text messages. That I would just say reply yes to get a quote,
Yeah.
or I would send them like I would literally go into each customer and we measured each customer and saved their their square footage of their lawn and categorize them. So now whenever I don't know, I would say 0 to 5,000 or something like that. I would pull it up and I would have my prices already set and be like, okay, for these people, they're gonna get this price. Just reply yes if for this quote. So
Right
that
on.
helped me upsell a lot more. And then I recently started implementing voicemail drops um, to sending out those things, ringless voicemails, and that's helped us out. So what I really got from you was I had to start creating systems so I didn't have to keep redoing the work all the time. Of did I send this price out or what was the price for this again? Like I was just redoing the work
Yeah.
over and over, and I wasn't getting anywhere, and that was slowing me down a lot too.
Yeah, so custom fields, super important
Yeah,
because the more data that you put on each client and whatever service software you use, I don't want people to think I'm like set on Service Autopilot. I think Copilot's going to be great,
yeah,
and it's an easy way to get in there too and get it
mhm,
set up while you're still doing what you got to do until you're ready to go. So, I mean, I think that's all awesome.
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot there, man. You just threw out a lot of things that you picked up and things. So I want to try and stay there a little bit too. But
Yep.
so so at this, so I feel like you need a system like that. Everybody needs a system. So what was the pain point that got you to go? Because usually at 350, something around 300, 350, 250,
Mhm.
you're still kind of in the mindset of trying to just get work. You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly.
let's just get work. And I don't
Yeah.
blame that. I think that's a great mindset. But at something, what was happening that made you feel like, I need systems because um, something must be chaotic, I'm assuming, right? Like you felt like things weren't like organized?
Yeah. So the thing I would say, the main thing that really got me to that point is like, where's all the money at? So I was like, I'm working, 12, 14-hour days, and where's all the money? I don't have any money um, in the company. And I just realized that I was just winging it too much. I had to reach that point of, I would say all of it was because of me. I was the bottleneck, right? My mentality, um, and I just had to make a change in. Hey, obviously, you've been doing it this way all these other years, and it hasn't gotten to where you want to be. So you got to start doing something different, right? And for me, doing something different was starting implementing systems into the business, and it has honestly relieved so much of my stress that I had previously. Um, and, and that's what really got me to say, "Hey, I need to make some changes," because I
Do you
just didn't
feel
want to
like
go through another year
yeah,
of
for
the
sure.
same.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Do you feel like you with the did you change the prices and how did that go with the customers if if that's what you did?
Yeah. So I think whenever I got to your location, I had raised the price up 2 times already, or something like that, 1 or 2 times. Uh, I think I was charging um, something like 55 at one point, and then I bumped it up to 65. Um, and then I think now we're at 75. And that's kind of our sweet spot right now because I've tried to go higher. I've tried to go to 85 and 90, and we just got a lot of no's
Mhm.
on everything. So that's our sweet spot right now. I'm not saying that we're going to stay there forever, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be testing the market out, like on start. We're trying to get into.
Okay, I think I may have lost Walter here. We'll give him a second, see if he can hop back on. Yeah, I was having way technical difficulties. I was miracle we started right around the 8 o'clock time. I was trying to get the my phone on airplane mode, um, just so I won't get any phone calls, and I think that messed me up for some reason. But anyway, again, I've got Walter here. He came and did a shop tour about 12 months ago. There, you're back, bro.
Okay. Yeah, I was frozen. I was looking at myself. I was like, man, I need to hit the gym again.
All right, so you're at $75. You're testing the market. So I got a quick question about that. When you say you raise your prices from like 55 to 65 to 75, is it just a point blank? Like you say, 0 to 5,000 square feet is going to be this much, and then 5,000. How are you raising your
So
prices or deciding?
yeah, so what we did was we do it from 0 to 5,000 is our minimum price of 45, and then we go up every 1,000 square feet, $5, and that's how we do it. And we saw that before I didn't even know until I talked to you about what your market is on the lawns and stuff like that, and I didn't even know that about me because I was getting big yards and little yards and this and that.
Mhm.
And I remember asking you, what if this is like a 1 acre yard, and your price point was a certain amount, and I'm like, people are willing to pay that, and you're like, well, they've paid it before. So I was like, I have to make that switch too, till I'm not being a people pleaser, right? I'm not saying I want to price myself out, but there has to be a system in my pricing to I have to stick to it and not just be all over the place like how I was before, just trying to get
Exactly.
the job.
So are you tracking, like, the close rate or, like,
Yeah,
percentage of sales that are saying yes to no? Like, what's your close rate, you know what I mean? Are you tracking that?
yeah, yeah. So I can go on to we keep everything on Yardbook right now. Um, Let me go to dashboard. So what I ended up doing from 2022, and this might be a little crazy, it might be a dumb thing, but I remember whenever I raised the prices up to what I have them now, um, and I had the prospects list and I had the customers list, right? I ended up removing anybody who said no, or just didn't want to do any services like at the new price rate.
Mm.
Um, I just deleted them. I
Right,
put them
yeah.
as inactive because
Yeah.
before I was sending out emails to them, and either they were getting pissed off, or I'm sorry, they were getting
No,
mad.
it's fine.
They were getting mad because I was marketing to them, and they had already told me no. And now I'm like, if they're saying no at my low price point, why am I going to send them out something out at a higher price point, right? So I was like, we're gonna start fresh. I told my wife, I was like, we're gonna start fresh. So right now we are at. Let me go to my customer report. So right
Because,
now we have a total of 207 active customers that are paying, like either it's a one-time service, whether it's landscaping or something like that, and
Hmm.
then reoccurring services.
Hmm.
And then from this year alone, prospects 239. That's people who didn't accept the price, but I still kept them on to this from this year. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm going to market to them at this price point, because I'm starting fresh. So
Yeah, no, that's well, because close rate, looking at that number really can help you dictate whether you want to raise the price or not or keep it.
mhm.
If you're getting 50%, like e- every other customer saying yes, I mean, you can raise the price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're at like, we'll say like 20% or 30, you're
Mhm.
probably at that point where you can't raise it anymore. You know what I mean? Unless you can add value somehow. So
Yeah.
tracking that is like super important. We look at that too. But
Yeah.
my favorite thing is, and I don't know if you picked that up. I know that when you were here, we were still kind of tweaking things or whatever, but
Mhm.
um, we don't want to raise the prices just because we can. I know that we might do that here and there, that kind of stuff, especially when we're busy and we need another mo guy, or we don't really
Yeah.
want to take on more. We'll raise it. But for the most part, if a customer, like, what we want to do is charge off what we need. So I don't know if
Mhm.
you ever, if we were talking to you about that, but we try and go over how much our equipment is, the mowers and the
Yeah.
labor costs, and then we go off of that. So if that says it needs to be, $55 for, a 3,000 square foot lawn, that's what we want to do. Even if we probably could charge 60, we still want to keep it at what we need with our profit, add the profit in there too. Have you looked into doing something like that?
Yeah, so what I remember talking to you about that, where you showed me like, hey, your breakdown of the mower costs and all that, and you're like, our minimum has to be this, um, and I took that as an example, and I started looking at, hey, I do need to get a truck. Hey, I do need to get new equipment because one, my equipment was all over the place, right? I had all different types of mowers, all different types of just everything. So I got rid of a lot of equipment that was either old or was just giving me trouble. And I was like, I have to have the same stuff. So we've been working on that. Now we have all the same weed eaters. We have all the same blowers. So if something breaks down, we can grab some from another thing. So that's helped out tremendously. And I learned that from you. And, just doing stuff like that has helped me out. But yeah, basically, I knew that I haven't gone too deep into the numbers yet, but I've gone like I would say like the easier stuff, right? Because I also have an appointment with my accountant pretty soon here, and we're gonna go over every little detail. But yeah, it has helped me out, and I've realized that I need to start charging enough to, be profitable.
Yeah, no,
And
I think doing what you're doing is like really smart. I also think there is something to be said with just getting more work, at this stage. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Trying to find out what your workers can handle. Like, what's your employee
Mhm.
situation look like right now?
Yeah, so right now we have 4 guys. I can honestly say, I wasn't keeping them completely busy every single day because they were having Fridays, like it was like a half day and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then one of them would come and help on the systems in the inside of the shop area. We'd be like, okay, now we have to create this. We have to make sure we get all this list done and this and that. And it would just help me out trying to fix the things that I
Yeah.
needed to
Oh,
do
yeah, for
much
sure.
quicker. So I can honestly say that I wasn't keeping them 100%
And
all
is
of them
that
busy.
because you just didn't have the work? Is that?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and I felt like in order to kind of help me out mentally, I needed to fix these things first in the um like in the business, like all the number stuff, or fixing systems, creating systems in place. So I can feel a little bit better by myself, getting more work and knowing that, hey, things are going to get done correctly and I don't have to keep going. and kind of micromanaging them and stuff like that. So that really helped out. Um,
And you were
but
saying,
this
so
year,
from what I was last year too, and I know we talked a little bit. You said that you were doing like some bigger projects, like the pergolas
yeah.
and stuff, and but you're kind of going away from that. So so I don't know, was that kind of an issue too with the money? Like because obviously if it was doing really well, maybe you would have focused on that. But since you kind of
Yeah.
want to get away from that, maybe what's going on with that?
So I put a lot of money into the home and garden shows. I mean, I was getting 10 by 20 areas, spaces, and I was building pergolas there and making a whole landscape. It was taking like honestly like 3 days to set up, just back and forth, doing all that, and it was it was costing a lot of money. And I was like, whenever I started looking at how much we were actually making on the mowing, and I'm like, we're actually pretty much, making the same as if I was to do one of these projects because I wasn't even landing some of these projects. I mean, I would get maybe like 3 phone calls out of the whole show. Um, and I was just investing so much time in talking to the customer, making the design. I mean, they would pay for a design, but at the same time, I'm over here being super detailed on the stuff, and it was just wasn't worth it. Where I'm like, well, I can go out and put out yard signs, I can go put out flyers, and in routes that we're already in, and that's like instant money coming in or faster money, I would say, than all the other stuff. So basically, when we would land a job for outdoor living stuff like fireplaces or pergolas or anything like that, concrete work, um, it was a lot of detailed stuff that it was in the plans. I'm not saying that they wouldn't do the job to the specs, but it was me as an owner. I didn't have any systems or for them to be like, hey, make sure you guys do this first or this or that. So I was micromanaging all the time on there. So I was like, it's just so many things I have on my services to do. I was like, no, we got to get rid of them. We got to get rid of them. I'll still do like the landscape design, but I won't do like pergolas I'll just sub it out, like have somebody
Yeah,
else do it,
yeah.
and they can take care of that. They that's what they specialize in, and I can just do the design for them or get a certain percentage off of what
Now,
their
do
the project.
you feel like stop like what you mentioned to me? It sounds like if you would have had like somebody doing that job, I would say like the estimator slash project manager, the person that does the
Yeah,
estimate, talk to the customer, and then when the job starts, they maybe don't need to be there every day, but they can hop in or be the ones to answer the questions from the customer or the worker. If you had somebody like that, would that have drastically have changed this whole outcome?
I think I do have somebody like that, but the problem is I needed him to do the lawns also because we were doing the lawn routes and then the outdoor living projects. And those outdoor living projects, it would be anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 days, right?
Mhm.
So then I would mix it in with the lawns. So they would be mowing Monday through Thursday, Monday through half a day Friday. And then I would have to pull them out and be like, or let's say I would pull one or two out, and I'm like, hey, we're going on a Thursday, and we're going to start on this outdoor living project, and it's Thursday, and then the guys that would finish mowing, they would come help us out do that. So it was just a lot of moving parts that I just felt wasn't, um, it just
Efficient.
it wasn't efficient at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
So
word I was looking for.
are you kind of were you kind of sad about losing that or making that decision or what? Because it seems like that was your passion, like you were passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah, I was sad because I love designing that, like the artwork and stuff like that. That's my favorite thing to do. But I'm not saying I'm never gonna do it again. I feel like one of the things that you taught me was like you have to get things in order and like try to focus on one thing at a time and grow
Mhm.
that and then move on to the next thing. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing with the mowing right now, uh, making sure these guys are profitable. I remember you showing me a route of what one guy could do, and I was like, wow, I was impressed of like the numbers that he was pulling just because of the proximity of all the lawns. So that's what I started focusing on. I'm not saying 100%, but slowly I started
Yeah. Oh
transitioning to
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And now I would say whenever I got to the month of November, I felt like I had enough system and procedures where they were doing it all. They knew exactly what to do whenever they got to the shop and this and that. And they would just take off. You know, the routes were set. They knew exactly what to do. Pass out flyers, pass out put a yard sign down, put a yard sign at the entrance of the neighborhood. And I started doing meetings with the guys at least once a week, or sometimes it would be a couple times a week in the mornings. And I felt like being transparent with them of what our numbers was really helped out because I think they thought I was like at a different level, and
Hmm.
I was like, "Hey, I'm just trying to survive here." I've been doing things wrong. I've been doing things so many ways, and it hasn't changed
Yeah.
anything in the company. So we're
Yeah.
doing
No.
new things, and I told them they have to be open to change in order for this to work. And if
Yeah.
not, I'm okay with scaling down. And unfortunately, that would have to be somebody losing their job. It's going to have to be that way for me to restart and do that.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of doing something similar, but with the overhead staff.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like, hey, our workforce, which we call man-hour rate workers,
Mhm.
just for easy understanding the difference between somebody that's not bringing in money and somebody that is. Uh,
Yeah.
that so yeah, I basically have those managers saying, I'm like, hey guys, this is the deal. It's on us to make it or break it this year. Like we know that the workforce is killing it, but
Yeah.
are you guys monitoring when somebody's not hitting their man hour rates? Are you taking steps to change that or move them around, get them off the system? I mean, if we don't make all the bonuses that we need to, which if we make our bonuses that we're supposed to make, that means that everybody's hitting their man hour rates, everybody's getting paid, we're being as efficient as possible, our company's hitting bonus profit. So that's kind of like the metrics that I'm trying to keep everybody at. It's like if we're not making the profit that we need to, you guys, me included, are not doing our jobs. But
Exactly.
with that said, I just kind of wanted to. There was a point here with I too was in a. So I want to do pavers badly. Okay, I've been wanting to do pavers for like 3 years, and even last I probably at the peak of when I wanted to do it was probably 3 years ago when I wanted to do pavers, and I have never done pavers yet. I've done one at my house, like my old house. I was like, I'm going to do it myself because I learned how
Yeah.
to do it and everything. And I kind of did it, and I did a horrible job, but whatever. I really want to do it, but I have never done it yet. Like for the
Yeah.
business, I never added it on because, like you were just saying, focus on one thing first. Like
Yeah.
at your stage, you can't afford to have a rockstar mow guy and a rockstar pergola guy and a rockstar fertilizer guy. You have to keep them focused on one thing, and you need to focus
Yeah.
on one thing. Dude, there was a time where I had the best sprinkler guy. Okay, I still communicate with him, and he's supposed to work for me next year, but he was supposed to do that last year too, and he never did. Whatever. He's the best sprinkler guy. He comes up to my door. We were doing sprinklers, but not enough to focus on it because when you break a sprinkler head, you got to fix that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were doing it just barely, little bit, nothing fancy. Um, and this sprinkler guy, he comes to my door and he's like, "Dude, I'm a sprinkler guy and I want to work here. I can do this for you." And I'm like, "Oh man, I got to be honest with you. We're gonna do sprinklers, but we're not ready. We're
Yeah.
not ready." Well, if you really are as awesome as you are, as you say you are, and he proved himself that he is, okay, the best, okay. But I didn't know that at the time, but I believed him. You know what I'm saying? Like he came with a truck full of sprinkler stuff. He was ready.
Yeah.
And I said, what I need from you right now, if you want to work here and eventually be the sprinkler guy, like for us, and we'll start doing that, is I need you to be the landscaper right now. I need you to help with planting, all this crap that the garden division needs. Um, and you know, and I wanted to do sprinklers. We were actually doing it, but I wasn't ready. We were not ready. We got the gardens down that year, like we needed it to build it up again, and we did it. Then we said, "All right, bro, we're ready to move you into sprinklers," and that was the foundation of how we started our sprinklers. way back then, and he was able to train this other guy who ended up being really good and really known in the industry around here. Um, and you know what I mean? So, but we've got to focus on one thing at a time. Because not only that, if I were to just take the revenue off of mowing, if we were to only do mowing, we would probably make more the profit margin. There probably won't be as much in the bank as there was, like, say,
Yeah,
last year. But the margin will be a lot higher because we're so efficient at that. So we could take
exactly.
that money and kind of help grow the other divisions, when it's not doing so well. And you can only do that for so long until you go, all right, this is crazy. Like, I don't want to spend more money on this division, but you got to do that one division at a time. And so that's really smart that you're doing that. So I do understand. I didn't start the pavers. If I did
Mhm.
and had to cut it out, I feel pretty sad. I guess that's the best word. Um,
Yeah,
but at
that's
least
how I feel. Yeah.
what it takes and what you got to do, and maybe who can do it. Like, now you'll kind of know the mindset of the worker that you're going to need when you're ready
Mhm.
to take it back on, because it could
Yeah.
happen pretty soon. But I
Yeah.
say focus on the maintenance stuff. Like, it's okay to have the same guy um, weed a flower bed. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, but maybe doing a pergola, that's a little too different. You know what I mean? You got
The
guys that'll just want to do maintenance, and you want these guys to be efficient at that one service. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the
I have
guys
guys.
loved it. The guys love doing the outdoor living stuff. They're like, "Oh, it's a nice change from mowing." I mean, and they knew exactly um they knew what to do. Like I said, it was me who was micromanaging every little thing. I was nitpicking every little thing. Like if I really wanted to bring it on and maybe just do that full time, I know we could do it, but I was like, no, we have something already kind of set and going with the mowing. Let's focus on that. And
Yeah.
and I
Well,
really,
I will say
yeah,
one thing that since I do know you, and I feel like I can confidently send you a text and say, hey, what the heck? Is if you
yeah,
do decide to do the pergolas or outdoor livings again, I would say your first step is need to hire an estimator who knows how to do the stuff really good.
yeah,
That way you can kind of be away, because I understand those big projects. Like, we do some big projects, and if there's a problem, we got to fix it right away. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so you got to have somebody who's you can kind of dispatch to that problem right away, whether they fix it or not. At least they're
mhm,
there on the ground, talking to the customer, taking pictures, and then handling it. Because
yeah,
we do some big projects, not all the time, but we do some big ones where there's some problems, and I'm able to deploy somebody right away, and then we
yeah.
handle it, and it's all set. So that would probably be the first step you're going to need
Okay,
to do. But that's all I'm saying with that. But
okay, I
you
appreciate
have
it.
been doing this whole thing. You've been doing Walter's Lawn Care for, like, dude, how long?
Since 2016. Uh,
Yeah, dude,
so
that's going on
it's
8 years or something.
yeah, it's been going on a while. And like I said, I feel like before it was like I didn't have the mentality to run a business. I was just the guy who saw YouTube videos and just you have all these guys mowing on YouTube, and that was
Yeah,
me. I was that guy who just stayed at that position mowing and just record himself mowing some yards and this and that,
yeah,
and would get a few customers here and there, and that was pretty much it. Like I had no game plan of growing. I said I wanted to grow, but realistically, I didn't have any prep to grow the business or anything like that, right? So that's what's really changed for me since I visited you this last year. Uh, I, I I knew I had to change the way I was thinking about the whole business, and it has really. I wouldn't say not just in my work, but in my family life too. It's changed so many things, and now my wife is on board. She's the one charging people now, doing all that. She's talking to people, handling customer complaints or fixing things, whatever she needs to do, she does it. And now I'm focusing solely on uh, getting new clients. Now that's my role, not being out there fixing equipment because that's what I was doing before too. trying to fix equipment, trying to get this and that going, So that's really helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And
Are
I feel
you?
like that needs to be talked about too. That um, sometimes as because in lawn care or in a lot of businesses, I would say that we just kind of see other people doing and we try to do the same thing as they're doing, but we don't really know their mindset on where they're at. And that's why they can take something from this level and take it up here because of their mindset and they're willing to do those hard things. And I wasn't willing to do those hard things because I was a people pleaser. I didn't know how to say no. I was trying to get every single job, and all that affected the company and growing. So I think I told you, but this year we grew 30%, and I feel like this 2024, I feel like I can really grow to a $500,000 company,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
only because I have um, things a little bit like I have a game plan now. Um, my wife, she wrote out scripts for every phone scripts for every service that we
Service.
have. Yeah, so she goes, reads it right off of it, and if yes or no, depending on their answer, knows exactly what to say. It, easy to train somebody if we need the help. We're not missing phone calls. We have an answering place that they'll
Mhm.
leave them. Somebody will answer and
Super
send us a
important.
message. Yeah. Um, and before, we would get phone calls, and sometimes I wasn't even answering. Like it was to that point where I'm like, "Oh, I'll call them back," and they were already calling. They would tell me, "I already have somebody else," So, in December, um, well, for Christmas lights, I know I had been trying to do the Christmas lights. The problem is that we weren't hitting our man hours on doing the installation, and I was checking the numbers on how much we were spending, and on the ones that we would get, and we weren't hitting our man hour rates on that. So what I said was, let's stop promoting Christmas lights because you would drive around here and there was signs everywhere. I'm telling you, there was like 4 or 5 signs in each corner of Christmas lights everywhere, and everybody was underbidding everybody. And I was like, let's do something different. Let's do. We were already doing leaf cleanups for our recurring customers,
Mhm.
but I was like, let's try to really push leaf cleanups um, on new customers. And I got in December. I can pull it up here. Let me see here.
No, that's
In
smart though.
December of oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it sounds like you're being proactive. That's
Yeah.
something. That's our new theme. That's my theme for this year. Is there's pre-active, which is a stage, the strategic planning, the planning stage, the memorizing what the system's supposed to be. I call that pre-active, and I actually looked that up in the dictionary. It's actually a word. So
Really?
there's pre-active, and then there's
Uh-huh.
proactive, which is like you're on the ground thinking about you're following the plan, but something's not right, so you're tweaking it. That's what I call
Yeah.
proactive, and that's the stage you're at. And then
Okay.
there's reactive, which is you're basically defeated. You
That's
did
where I was
some,
at. Yeah.
you got something where you can't change it now because if you do, the whole system will crash, the whole company will go down, your workers will leave. So I call that the
Oh yeah.
reactive stage where it's like, all right, we're going to make the change next season. That's the beauty of our industry. We can have a reset button, in our industry. But yeah, so that's super important. I did want to say that, let's see, I can't. So you were talking about that you're doing the Christmas lights and things
Mhm.
like that. I just feel like 30% um, is a great number to kind of to grow to keep growing, and you can actually keep staying at that 30% for a long time. Even once you're at a million, it starts to get a
Mhm.
little harder at that point for sure. But from here to there, if you're doing 30%, dude, that's amazing. That's like really great. So keep that going.
I feel like I was kind of shocked when I looked at that because I felt like I wasn't advertising as much um, throughout the whole year, right? Until like towards the end, like where I honestly I feel like my switch to where like I have to get more sales now was in November when I noticed that the Christmas light thing wasn't working for us.
Hmm.
Um, and
Are you year
and
round? Do you do year round work?
previously no, but
Okay.
now that's one of the things that we're switching to. So I implemented this kind of late where I started doing winter landscape services. Basically, we charge our mowing rate um, for the customers. Let's say a customer is like 55, our budget at time that we would normally spend for mowing. We show up and just pull some weeds for that time, and then we tell the customer, hey, we did that. We did this on your property for this amount of time. And I got, I would say, like two handful of customers, or maybe a little bit more, to sign up for that. But what I'm going to start doing this next year is I'm going to have everybody automatically be in that, and they opt out. Like we'll send them several messages and stuff like that. And that way we can have more reoccurring services or reoccurring work throughout the whole year. And I'm not completely dead for like 2 or 3 months out of the year.
Yeah. See,
So
that's the fun thing. It's like I don't know what it's like to have year round be in a place where it's year round. I mean, I've been to Florida a lot. I grew up there, but I never did lawn care when I lived there. But as you were talking to me, as you were saying that, my mind starts racing. Like, how would I keep my guys busy over there? I feel like I would say something like, this is just an example. You got a customer that's paying $55 a week for mowing normally. I would say something like, times that by four. What is that? $120? No, sorry, $240, something like that, or 220 bucks. We'll just say 220. Times that by three, right? So now you're at 800 bucks. I would say, hey, the season's about to end, but if you pay $800, we'll allocate, 5 hours or whatever, 10 hours, however many hours it comes out to be on call for you all winter long when you need anything, whether it's moving something out of the garage to cleaning the flower beds to whatever you need. You know what I mean? Just call
yeah,
us up
yeah,
and we'll allocate that time. That way you'll have the money and and the thing is, if you do this, customer, we'll keep your price the same, next year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just like thinking about things like that. And I never thought of that until you mentioned that. It's just something as us lawn care business owners have to do is come up with these different ways of, you know, keeping the business alive, you know? And I don't know if you're frozen, if you're off, you might need to hop back on. But yeah, to me, you're frozen again. So sorry, guys, we're having some more technical difficulties. Um, there's a lot of good things here that we've been talking about today. Yeah, again, he visited last year. He took a lot of information. It's kind of funny because as he's telling me all these things that I told him, I don't remember much of that. I remember walking the shop with him, looking at some things on the computer, but I don't really remember all the details of everything that we talked about. And I'm so glad that he took all that information and he kind of like started planning, for the new year with that. So are you back?
yeah. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. I think
No,
it
you're
kicked me
good.
out or something.
No, you're good,
You
man.
Man, this YouTube's acting up today, huh?
Yeah, dude. So I tried doing the airplane mode when right before you came on so that I wouldn't get a phone call on my because I'm trying to change the phone because the other one, I don't know if it's a phone or what, but it was popping like a stick sound. I don't
Mm,
know if you heard that on the
okay.
last one. So I'm trying to change the phone to see if that's going to help it. And so one of the things I
Mhm.
want to do is put it on airplane mode. And when I did
Oh,
that, I don't know what the heck it did. It made it so my internet didn't work anymore on even
yeah.
my computer, which I thought that was really weird.
What
But
I had I was listening to what you were saying, and that you were allocating like budgeted hours, right, towards the landscaping. Do you think your customers are most likely to pay like a lump sum because you've got them to pay that for like winter landscape services, or do you think that they're more likely to pay per each visit, like let's say the $50 or $55?
I don't like the I don't like the per visit price thing. It doesn't really work very good. It's easy for them to opt out of it, and it's kind of just one of those things where you have to remember to keep charging them, and then they remember that you're charging them again, and maybe they didn't feel like they needed you that week, and then they just cancel. So we tried
Yeah.
doing that with snow, where
Okay.
we were charging them every week, no matter what, because
Yeah.
we would cover them all winter as long if it snowed 5 times that same week, and we only charged them once, we still do it the whole week because some weeks
Mhm.
it's not going to snow, so that would balance out. But people were canceling, and it's like, dude, or calling like, yeah, well, you didn't pay for 3 weeks. Now you want us to go help you, and like, so I don't like that. I feel like that would transfer over to any kind of service. But what I will say is, with oh man, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Paying people for services. So what you need to do is add value with the customers you have. They're a gold
Mhm.
mine. Okay,
Yeah.
they're a gold mine. Your customers. They're they're the most precious thing on the planet. So what you have
Mhm.
to do is just whatever service they pay for. I'm not saying do free stuff, but just
Mhm.
be so damn good and reliable on it that
Yeah.
when you need them to up sum lump pay a lump sum for the winter or whatever the example is, they will do it for you because you're
Yeah.
so damn reliable and you actually. I have been known to tell my customers, I need you to do this for me. I tell them that. You
Really?
know?
Yeah.
Yes. Not everyone, but the ones that I know, like, look, this is a $30,000 account. Look, I it would really help me out if you prepaid for this whole thing all at once. That would really help me out. I because I feel like I try so hard. I don't know how another company tries harder in the back end, making
Mhm.
sure their equipment is good, the workers are there, the workers are trained, the calls are going to be taken care of, and I can deploy somebody right away if there's any issue, right? So I
Yeah.
do all those things. They don't, and they don't realize that until you need something, and then you go, "Hey, look, it would really help me out." And then that's when they go, "Well, help you out? What about? Oh, you know what? They actually do a lot for us." So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and maybe they don't think that. Maybe that's not the way they think. But the fact that you're so reliable, they're able to go, "Well, if that's an option, like who would have thought that we charge people to pay for mowing all year? We do that.
Mhm.
They pay one lump sum and they pay it all year. If before we started doing that, the managers were like, who would do that? Like that's so
Yeah.
much money. But because we're so reliable and everything, customers are like, oh well, that's one less thing I have to deal with. And they're offering that. So it must be good because they're good. So it must be a good idea.
It must
So you know
be
what I mean?
yeah.
So you gotta
It
just
must
be
be that
good.
other people are doing it too, right? So
Yeah,
I have to
or
be
like,
honest.
or it's like, hey, they're so reliable and they're asking for this. I'm just gonna do it. Like they make my life easy already. This might make it even easier. So all I'm saying is treat them always adding extra value, even if they
Mhm.
don't see it. Like we don't do a free thing. The best customer on the planet on my list will call me and say, "Hey, when your Mo guy's here, can you just clip the one rose? All I need is one rose clipped." No, you know, no,
Yeah.
we don't do that. I got to send a garden crew, and we have a minimum of $275 for them to cut that one rose. So
And
I don't like I don't bend over, like I don't let them walk on me. You know what I mean? Like I I do really good at what we do. Anything with the mowing, okay, tell me what you need and we'll help you out. But I'm not gonna break our policy because you're awesome, because that's gonna mess up the company. The next person is gonna expect that, and we're gonna be all unorganized and not be able to handle this. You know what I mean? So you
I
gotta be firm with your stuff, but be
I
good
think
at
I
what you
remember
do.
you saying something like that, that somebody in the office helped you kinda say no to customers, right? Like, I think you said that before in a video that, uh, they helped you because you would say yes sometimes to some of the things you didn't
Yeah,
wanna do. Well,
totally.
honestly, I do that with my wife because she's learned
Yeah.
she has no soul, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah, mine too. Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. I love that because I get what you mean. So what Walter's basically saying is, when I used to answer the phone and customers say, "Hey, I've got to raise or I need your credit card." We'll just say that. Like our policy now is to take credit cards, otherwise can't put you on the system. What do you mean? You've been mowing my lawn for 10 years. Like, no, come on. I don't have a credit card. Okay, you know what? I'll do it. And I'll say yes. But when I hired somebody and I made it their job, and then I started getting mad when they would go, um, "Oh, you don't hold on, let me ask my boss." And they go, "Hey, he's gonna cancel." And I'd be like, "Stop asking me, because that
Yeah,
makes me feel like I gotta say yes. So
yeah,
don't you just gotta say no." And
yeah.
then and then it became like their job, and then it was so easy. And now I do that with like the ops manager. It's
Oh,
like if a
yeah,
worker is like, "Hey, help me out here," I say, "Hey, you got to talk to your ops manager." And then I text the ops manager, "Hey, you better say no." You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
you got to have people away from you, because you are the one that's that cares. You care more than anybody about your customers
exactly.
and about your workers, but you need some kind of like
Barrier.
barrier. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need that. So that's a good
Uh,
point. So at what point, what is success for you, Walter? Like, at what point are you going to feel like, all right, this is success. This is successful. What is that for you?
to me, before it used to be that I have a lot of money in the account, and that's no longer the way I think, because it wasn't getting me to where I wanted to be, and it wasn't happening. So, uh, to me, success now is having, having a profitable business, and I don't have to be a big company to do that, right? And I want to make sure that my guys are paid well and they're not struggling. And not living like some of these other guys, like 4 to 5 to an apartment or something like that. Um, and that to me would be a successful business. Just everybody being able to get paid a livable wage without having to worry about too many things. I mean, we all worry about things, right? But that would really help us out. And then in my family aspect, just being comfortable. I'm not saying not growing, but being not having to worry about so many other things
Yeah,
that
to having the workflow that where it just kind of pays for everything and everybody's making good money. Yeah,
yeah.
that seems good. I think that those levels of success will change for you once you start. Once you're there, it's like, you know what, this is my new success. But
There's gonna
that's
be new
that's good to
goals.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see. I actually wrote something down here. What do you think it's going to take for you to get your business to $1 million? What do you think that is?
I have to get better at delegating, and I've been getting better at that these last few months. I'd say like second half, or not even second half. I would say the last quarter of this year. I've been getting better at delegating. So, um, like one of the guys, right? It snowed here. We did snowing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Normally, I would have been out there with them pushing the snow or whatever. That day, I helped them out a little bit, and then I was like, "Hey, you guys got the rest?" And they're like, "Yeah, we got the rest." And they were all excited, and they went off and did the snow by themselves. And I came back, and I was just working on the computer. I was like, "Well, they got it. That's just one less thing I have to worry about now." And my brother, who still helps me out, uh, he has his bachelor's in accounting, and I'm like, haven't been using him. He's been doing he's like my right hand guy, right? And I was like, why don't I have him start doing all these Excel files, like doing stuff he's good at, instead of always just being out in the field. So he's helped me out tremendously. He's the one like researching all these people. He has literally just yesterday or 2 days ago, he sent me a list of property managers with like emails, websites, tabs on. Did you email them? Did you call them? Did like all this stuff that needs to be done? And he's kind of a little bit of a bookworm, right? So he's really good at that. So I was like, I need to take advantage of that, of his skills on him being able to do that to grow the company, and not me trying to do that. I mean, I could do it, but that's not where it's really going to help out the company. And then my wife, she's going to be doing visits to certain locations like that, introducing herself, doing all that stuff.
So are you are you
Honestly,
are you mainly residential, commercial, or both?
yeah, I would say like 90% residential. We
Okay.
have a few commercial properties, but it's not a lot.
Is that
Just
something
because
you're
our
trying to
price points.
pursue, especially if like, somebody's going to be going out there talking to
Yeah,
people?
yeah. So we're trying to pursue it. I'm not saying we're trying to go all in it, because what I've realized is that our commercial here, it pays the bills, but it doesn't give us the same profits as residential, right? So I would help keeping us busy somewhat throughout the whole year, but it's not completely what I want to go into. You know, I what
Yeah, yeah.
there's several things that what I'm doing to get to that 1 million. I started I joined this. It's a networking group locally, so I started going to these meetings once a week, and then I'm starting to get to know these different business owners, and they start referring work to me, and I'm referring work to them and stuff like that. And I just want to get into the Chamber of Commerce and start networking with the businesses here. That's how
Yeah.
I've realized that I've started to grow much quicker, and I people apparently people knew who I was. They just didn't put a face to it, right? Or they just did. It wasn't
Yeah,
personal. So I'm
yeah.
trying to create those bonds with certain people.
So when you say
Uh,
they knew who you were, was that kind of like a marketing thing too? Like they knew Walters Lawn Care? Is that what you mean?
yeah, yeah. They said they see my signs all around and stuff like that, but they
About
just didn't
social
know who I
media?
was. Yeah, social media. They would see some posts and stuff like that. But it wasn't like anything to where they were like, "Oh, I need to call them," right? Like
Yeah,
they
well,
didn't
that's
feel
part
that
of it is,
personal.
yeah, at least they know who you are. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I think that's a big step into the whole marketing game. It's like getting out there. People know who you are, so when they need something, they can at least hopefully think about you.
yeah.
But yeah, it is cool to see you because like you said before, you were out in the field a lot. So I remember you'd ask a lot of like those kind of questions, or the early
Mhm.
days were like a lot of the
Yeah.
the in the field questions. And now it's like it's really cool to see the transition more of like the working on the business instead of in the
Mhm.
business kind of stuff. I do, and then with all the setup, as you were saying before, as you were talking, you were saying that you're setting, you got things set up so like you won't miss a phone call. So it's like your whole mindset, and I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, maybe,
Mhm.
but you were saying that you want to make sure you're more dialed in with your systems rather than getting all the work. But I think that there's kind of like something there too, where you're like trying to, make sure you're not missing a phone call. You want to get your this one division kind of rocking.
Mhm.
So is that something? Is that? I want to tell you, it's a great mindset to go. I just want to get as much work as possible, and if you're priced right, even better. Don't
Mhm.
give it away, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect either. And
Mhm.
try and see what your guys can handle,
Yeah.
so that because the best thing that you can do is get a ton of Mo customers. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
talking a lot. Like,
Yeah.
how many is a lot? I don't know. How many crews do you have? How many crews do you have?
I mean, right now it's just 2 crews,
Okay,
so I
so
split them up to
it
2.
so if you had I don't know, 200 Mo customers, okay? Maybe
Yeah.
250. All right? And they're handling it. Maybe they're working late because they're trying to get them all done. The
Mhm.
best thing you can do at that point is the next year before the season starts is raise the prices so that you think you're going to lose all of them.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
Because you're going to lose a lot because people will cancel. And I don't know what your market is. So I'm not telling you a number because, I
Yeah,
heard
no, yeah.
there parts where you don't charge very much, not you, but in general. Uh, and then you go to like a one-man crew,
Mhm.
okay? And you're gonna people, the ones that left are gonna leave, whatever, and the ones that you have, you're gonna be able to pay your guys more, like a performance type pay, and they're gonna be going
Mhm.
by themselves, and they're not gonna have that big a list because a lot of people left. And as they're getting better, some of those people that left are gonna come back.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna come back. Maybe not all of them, but maybe they will. Again, depending on how valuable you treated them when they were your customer. Were you there on top? Were you reliable? You do those kind of things. They're gonna call somebody else. They're not gonna like them. They're gonna go back to you. And as you start putting them back on your system, those guys that were doing the one man crew stuff by themselves are going to be getting, or by the time they come back, they might have a better system because they've got to get better at doing it all themselves too. And then you can
Mhm.
start throwing more jobs on them. You're going to start like the revenue and the efficiency is going to go up so much higher. So that's what I would focus on is getting a lot of customers. Make sure you're
Yeah.
priced decent. I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
priced so high that you don't get anybody because you're
Mhm.
going to need a lot of customers,
Exactly.
to pay your guys really good, and then to raise them at what they need to be. If you're at the price where you need to be at the very beginning, that's a smart thing too. Okay.
Mhm.
But people leave, right? You get two customers, one leaves. You get three customers, two leave. Like it's just the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of just one of the things that does that make sense what I'm telling you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you were telling me about customers coming back, and I had that happen whenever I raised my price up this last time. They're like, "Oh no, that's too much," and this and that. But then they came back like a few weeks later because they found out that they really liked that we were showing up on time. Well, we don't have a set time that we go, but like the
Right.
day that we're supposed to go, we go. We close the gates and like we communicate, over communicate. We tell them that we're
Yeah.
going to be there.
Good.
Stuff like that. We're doing what we need to be doing, just make it easier on them, and they appreciate that. And I guess when they tried somebody else out, they weren't having the same level of
Yeah.
service.
Definitely
So
keep working on that mindset. Like, you're doing everything you can. Okay. You're
yeah,
doing everything you can. If a customer wants to leave because even if they don't know you because they called up one time and they say, "Hey, how much is it?" And you tell them and they go, "Oh, no, bye. That's too much." What we kind of go in our mind in our office, we say, "Hey, they don't know what they're missing out on. Like
yeah,
they left and they don't know like they're missing out now because they
yeah,
got scared over one thing." So I would focus on that so that it kind of builds you up to grow your company like stronger so that the people that do cross that barrier of like entry of saying, okay, I'm so desperate, I need to hire you, but even though you cost a lot of money, once they're
yeah,
in, they're like, holy crap, I'm actually paying less than I probably should. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I would have constantly focused on that. But we're about at an hour here, and I like to keep them, at about an hour. Is there anything, Walter, any last, I don't know, question or something you want to say or anything before we go?
I just what we're really focusing on this year is growth and doing it the right way. And I've noticed that I can't do it all. So that's one of the things, if anybody's watching, uh, that they really want to take away from this is make sure you learn how to delegate quickly. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck like me, like where I was just trying to do everything and I felt like nobody could do the work like I could do it. Um, so that really helped me out learning that I need to change the way I
That's
think.
a good point. And once you started letting go, did things go good? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there was hiccups here and there, but what I told the guys was like, hey, every time there was something that went wrong, I would say it's not your guys' fault, it's my fault, and I would own up to it. And I'm like, one was because I either didn't train you guys well, or I didn't have something to tell you how to do something right, or you know, whatever it was. But I would own up to it, and I'm like, hey, it's not gonna happen again because now we know, and we would have a meeting about it. Now we know what to do in that situation or how to fix it.
hey, have you read or listened to the audiobook Extreme Ownership?
I haven't. I got something like that off of the Tommy Mello books
Okay.
because he said something about that. Like you have to start owning your shit.
That
If your
book,
shit
he
is bad.
mentioned that book specifically? Or
I don't know if he mentioned that, but he mentioned
okay.
something about just owning up to
Yeah,
your
yeah.
problems and owning
Dude,
up to
okay.
your stuff.
Homework for you, Walter.
Okay.
Get that audiobook. It's called Extreme Ownership. I
Okay.
think it'll help you out because the fact that you already take ownership,
Yeah.
that's half the battle. And then you'll see this other stuff that they mention in that book. I think
Uh
it
huh.
goes really well with somebody that takes extreme ownership. Um, like you've been saying, you mentioned that throughout this whole podcast on how it's your fault. Because for whatever reason it's your fault, that's the best way to be a leader. But I'd definitely recommend that book. It's from Jacko Willink. You know,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah. I'm
it's
gonna
a damn
definitely check
good
it out.
book. All right, Walter. Well, thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
Everybody that watched this video, hey, if it added any kind of value, please subscribe. Help me out as this channel grows. I want to start doing some in-person shop tours. Like that'd be really cool if I can go to Walter's or fly people like Walter out here. If I had a big enough channel, I could do that kind of stuff. I think that'd be great. But all right, everybody, appreciate you and thanks, Walter. I'll catch you.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Bye bye.
See ya. Oops, I went the wrong. I turned the camera around.
Oh.